The Lantern Keeper's First Night. The sun had vanished behind the distant hills, leaving a soft, dusky, violet glow in the sky. Moonwillow Valley lay quietly, wrapped in a gentle hush, as if the world itself had taken a deep, peaceful breath. Stone cottages with thatched roofs dotted the gentle slopes, smoke curling lazily from chimneys. Willow trees along the river swayed softly, their long leaves brushing against the water with a whispering sound that made even the most restless mind feel calm. Elian Morrow stepped out of his small cottage at the edge of the village, holding a brass lantern in his hand. Its warm glow spilled softly onto the cobblestones at his feet. He adjusted the hood of his dark brown cloak and took a slow, deep breath of the cool evening air. Every night, this was his ritual, a gentle walk through Moonwillow Valley, lighting lanterns and ensuring every corner of the village rested under quiet, protective light. The first bridge lay ahead, arching gracefully over the slow river. The water reflected the soft amber glow of Elian's lantern. Willow branches trailed in the current, their movement creating a delicate rhythm of sound. Elian paused to listen. The rustling of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, the faint gurgle of the river. Each note was part of the lullaby of the valley. He breathed deeply, letting the night's calm settle around him. Along the path, cottages glimmered with warm light. Families were tucked inside, fires low and steady, their lives quiet and secure. In one window, two children, Lila and Oren, were whispering as they played with a small wooden toy. The siblings noticed the lantern and waved softly. Elian gave a gentle nod in return, careful not to disturb the quiet magic of the evening. A little further, Maeva Willowheart, the village herbalist, bent over her basket of herbs. Moonflowers, lavender, and thyme glowed faintly in the lantern's soft light. She looked up and smiled. "Good evening, Elian," she whispered. "The valley feels peaceful tonight." Elian returned her smile. "Yes, Maeva, it feels calm. The river sings tonight," he said, nodding toward the flowing water. Even after many nights, he noticed new details: a small owl perched on a fence post, the shimmer of dew on grass, the subtle aroma of herbs drying in the cool air. Each detail was a note in the symphony of night. His path curved gently around a small hill, leading to a grove of willow trees. The river widened here, reflecting the crescent moon above. Fireflies floated over the surface, tiny lanterns in their own right. Elian paused, letting the serenity wash over him. These moments were timeless, and even he felt the pull of sleep's gentle embrace. As he continued, he spotted Rowan, the traveling storyteller, approaching. Rowan carried a leather satchel and a small wooden flute. His sandy blonde hair caught the lantern light. "Evening, Elian," he said softly. "The valley sleeps well tonight, thanks to your careful light." Elian inclined his head. "It is peaceful. The night brings its own magic if we only notice it," he said, continuing along the path. The bell tower loomed ahead. Thomas Belrow, the elder, stood near the bronze bell, its soft toll marking the hour for villagers to prepare for sleep. "Evening, young keeper," said Thomas. "The night moves gently tonight." Elian smiled faintly. "It is an honor to guide the valley into rest," he said, listening to the bell's echo. Each sound, each movement reinforced the rhythm of calm. Passing the oldest part of the village, he noticed the worn stone walls of cottages, each holding stories of centuries past. Even the small animals seemed aware of his quiet presence, moving softly in the underbrush. Finally, he reached a small clearing where the river curved like a silver ribbon in the moonlight. He set down his lantern briefly, letting its warm glow mingle with moonlight. The gentle lapping of water,
the rustle of willow leaves, the distant twinkle of fireflies, all combined to form the valley's lullaby. Elian picked up his lantern and began the final stretch. Every step was deliberate, every sound noticed but not rushed. The air smelled faintly of herbs, damp earth, and wood smoke. By the time he returned home, the village was almost silent. Every soul was tucked into dreams, every corner touched by the soft light he carried. He placed his lantern on the stone table outside his cottage and leaned back against the wooden frame. The glow mixed with the moonlight, casting long, peaceful shadows across the cobblestones. Tonight had been like every night, yet entirely unique. New details, small moments, threads of calm woven into the valley's tapestry. Elian inhaled deeply, letting the night's calm seep into him. He felt a deep connection to the village, the river, the willow trees, the cottages. The entire Moonwillow Valley seemed to rest in his care. And as he stepped inside, closing the door softly behind him, he let the calm carry him gently into sleep.
Whispers of the Willow Grove. Twilight descended slowly over Moonwillow Valley, painting the sky in soft shades of lavender and silver. The village lay quiet, its stone cottages basking in the faint glow of lanterns. Smoke curled lazily from chimneys, drifting gently into the cool evening air. The willow trees along the river whispered softly as their long branches brushed the calm water, creating a soothing, rhythmic murmur. Even the distant hills seemed to lean closer, enclosing the valley in a gentle embrace. Elian Morrow stepped out of his cottage, adjusting the dark brown wool cloak around his shoulders. His brass lantern glowed softly, casting warm light onto the cobblestone path. The air smelled faintly of herbs, wood smoke, and the cool earth of the riverbank. Each evening he walked this same path, yet every night revealed new details, a glimmer of dew, a subtle shimmer on the water, or a faint rustle in the underbrush. He started his walk slowly, savoring the calm. As he approached the first bridge, he noticed the fireflies beginning to emerge. They danced over the surface of the river, tiny golden lanterns in their own right. The willow branches dipped gently into the water, creating soft ripples that mirrored the glow from his lantern. Elian paused for a moment, letting the symphony of night wash over him. Each sound, the owl's soft call, the faint rush of the river, the gentle sway of the trees, combined to form a peaceful melody that carried the valley into rest. Continuing along the path, he passed Miva Willowheart in her small garden. Her auburn braid swung gently as she bent over her herbs, picking moonflowers and lavender. "Good evening, Elian," she whispered. Her moss-green eyes reflected the lantern's warm glow. "The valley feels unusually calm tonight." Elian nodded, smiling softly. "It is calm, Miva. The river seems to hum a little softer this evening." They exchanged a brief nod before Elian continued. Even in these quiet, ordinary moments, there was magic to be found. A subtle, gentle magic that filled the night with serenity. The path curved away from the cottages and led toward the willow grove, a cluster of ancient trees along a quieter bend of the river. As Elian approached, he felt the air grow cooler, heavier with the scent of moss and soft earth. The grove was slightly mysterious, though never frightening. Its willow trees bent low, their branches swaying gently in the breeze, forming a natural tunnel of green. Tiny glowing mushrooms dotted the forest floor, and soft fireflies floated above the river like drifting stars. Elian stepped slowly among the trees, his lantern casting long shadows. He noticed Rowan, the traveling storyteller, sitting on a smooth rock beside the river, tuning his wooden flute. The soft melody he played blended seamlessly with the natural sounds of the grove.
"Evening, Elian," Rowan greeted him softly. "The grove is alive tonight, isn't it?" "Yes," Elian replied, pausing to listen to the river and the soft wind. "It feels like the trees themselves are whispering." Rowan smiled and nodded. A gentle kind of whisper, one that lulls the mind, eases the heart. Elian walked further into the grove, observing tiny details, the silvery dew on mushroom caps, the soft sway of ferns in the moonlight, the river reflecting the faint glow of fireflies. Each element was a gentle note in the symphony of calm. He paused near a small waterfall, the water cascading softly over moss-covered stones. The sound was soothing, almost like a lullaby. As he continued, he found Maiva arranging a bundle of herbs near the riverbank, humming quietly. Elian watched her, appreciating the careful way she tied the lavender and moonflowers together. The simplicity of her work, the quiet of the grove, and the soft light from his lantern created a feeling of gentle magic. A little further, Lila and Oren appeared quietly at the edge of the grove. Lila held Oren's hand, her dark braided hair catching the lantern's glow. "Elian," whispered Lila, "look at the fireflies." The children tiptoed carefully among the ferns, their eyes wide with wonder. Elian smiled, keeping his voice low. "They are beautiful, aren't they? The grove is full of small lights tonight." The children nodded, mesmerized by the glowing insects, the soft murmuring river, and the gentle sway of the willow branches above. Elian guided them slowly along the path, careful that every step preserved the peaceful atmosphere. They paused by a patch of glowing mushrooms, Lila's fingers brushing over the tiny caps. Oren leaned in, watching the reflection of fireflies in the river. For a moment, all three of them were silent, listening to the night breathe. After a while, Elian continued his journey alone, moving toward the other side of the grove, where the river widened. The water glimmered with reflected moonlight, and gentle ripples carried faint sparks of fireflies downstream. He felt the rhythm of the night settle deeper in his chest, a quiet heartbeat of the valley itself. Passing the grove, he came upon the oldest cottages in the village. The stone walls were worn and soft with age. Smoke drifted from chimneys, blending with the mist rising from the river. Every window held a warm glow, evidence of families quietly settling in for the night. He spotted Lila and Oren again, now tucked into their beds, the soft light from their window highlighting their peaceful faces. Elian moved toward the riverbank near the bell tower, where Thomas Belrow waited. The elder's bronze bell was silent for now, having marked the hour earlier. "The grove has been gentle tonight," Thomas said softly. "The fireflies and river whispers are strong tonight, aren't they?" "Yes," Elian said. "It is a night full of calm." He felt gratitude for the simple, quiet beauty surrounding him. The moonlight, the fireflies, the gentle music of water, it all carried a soft magic, a magic that did not rush, did not demand attention, but quietly invited the mind to rest. Finally, he returned to his own cottage. The path was quiet, each stone and tree familiar, yet still glowing with new details of the night. He placed his lantern on the stone table outside, leaning back to watch the crescent moon above. The valley was still and peaceful. Every corner rested under his gentle watch. Elian allowed himself a deep, calming breath. Tonight had been like many others, yet entirely unique. Every step, every sound, every whisper of wind had woven a tapestry of calm that would carry the villagers into dreams. He felt a deep connection to Moonwillow Valley, its people, its rivers, and its willows. With a soft smile, he stepped inside, closing the door behind him. The lantern's warm glow mingled with the silver light of the moon, casting gentle shadows across the cobblestones. He sank into his chair, and felt the day, the night, and the valley itself fold around him like a soft blanket. Tonight, as every night, he drifted slowly, peacefully, into sleep, carrying the whispers of the willow grove into his dreams.
The lantern by the misty river. The night had fallen over Moonwillow Valley, soft and quiet, with a pale crescent moon hanging low above the hills. The cottages glimmered faintly in the lantern light, smoke drifting lazily from chimneys, mingling with the cool, damp air. A gentle mist began to rise from the river, curling over its slow waters and drifting among the willow trees. It created a soft, mysterious veil over the landscape, and yet there was nothing frightening in it. The mist seemed to breathe, moving slowly with the river's rhythm, carrying with it a calm that invited rest. Elian Morrow stepped from his cottage once more, a brass lantern glowing warmly in his hand. His dark brown wool cloak rustled softly in the breeze. The cool air carried faint scents of herbs, earth, and wood smoke, mingling into a comforting perfume of the valley itself. With each careful step, the cobblestones seemed to welcome him, and the lantern cast gentle shadows along the path. Tonight, as every night, he was the quiet guardian of Moonwillow Valley's slumber, guiding the village and river into gentle dreams. He walked slowly toward the river, pausing at the first bridge to admire the mist curling over the water. Fireflies floated above the rippling surface, tiny golden sparks drifting like stars. The reflection of his lantern glowed softly in the river, mingling with the silver light of the crescent moon. The willow branches hung low, trailing gently in the water, and the faint hoot of an owl sounded in the distance. Elian inhaled deeply, letting the calm wash over him, feeling the rhythm of the valley's night pulse softly in his chest. Along the riverbank, Maeva Willowheart was gathering herbs as usual. The mist clung lightly to her auburn braid and the folds of her muted green dress. She bent over bundles of moonflowers and lavender, the soft glow of Elian's lantern illuminating her work. "Good evening, Elian," she whispered, looking up with her moss-green eyes. "The misty river is more alive than usual tonight." Elian smiled, stepping closer. "Yes, Maeva, the mist is soft, almost like it carries a song of the valley itself." He paused to watch the mist swirl around the willow roots, the soft reflections of lantern light on the water, creating a magical, gentle dance. Even after many nights, he noticed new details, tiny ripples, faint sparks of light, the gentle shiver of leaves in the breeze, small things that formed the quiet heartbeat of the valley. Continuing along the path, Rowan sitting on a stone by the river, his flute resting across his lap. He was gazing at the mist with thoughtful eyes, the soft silver glow of the moonlight touching his sandy hair. "Evening, Elian," Rowan said quietly, without moving his lips much. "The mist carries stories tonight, stories of quiet peace." Elian nodded. "It whispers softly, a lullaby for the valley." He adjusted the lantern, letting its gentle light mingle with the pale mist. The reflections in the river moved slowly, almost dreamlike, as if the water itself was weaving a soft tapestry for the villagers to rest within. As he moved further along, Leela and Orin appeared at the edge of the riverbank. Leela held Orin's hand, her dark braided hair catching the lantern glow. "Elian," she whispered, "look at the moonlight on the mist." The children tiptoed carefully on the moss-covered stones, mesmerized by the gentle dance of mist, moon, and firefly lights. Elian guided them slowly, making sure the quiet rhythm of the night remained undisturbed. They paused by the soft curves of the river, watching the reflections ripple with each gentle gust of wind.
A little further along, the river widened slightly, forming a calm pool where fireflies floated above and glowing mushrooms dotted the bank. Elian's lantern mingled with their faint lights, casting long, gentle shadows over the ground. Maeva had tied her herb bundles and set them on a soft patch of moss nearby, humming quietly. Rowan lifted his flute and played a soft melody, the notes blending seamlessly with the whispering of the mist and river. Elian paused, letting the symphony of soft lights, faint music, and gentle mist wash over him. He felt the valley breathing, resting, and whispering in ways only a careful observer could notice. The mist carried reflections of every detail: willow branches, lantern glow, glimmering river, and even the small figures of villagers tucked in the distance. As he continued, he came across a small wooden boat pulled up onto the riverbank. Its paint had faded with time, and moss grew along its sides. The soft glow of Elian's lantern illuminated the boat, casting a golden reflection across the misty water. He imagined the stories that this river had seen, centuries of calm nights, gentle whispers, and peaceful dreams. He let the image sink in, feeling the weight of centuries of serenity in the simple beauty of the misty river. Further along the path, the cottages of the oldest part of the village appeared. Smoke drifted from chimneys into the pale mist. The windows glowed warmly, and every family seemed to rest peacefully. Elian noticed Leela and Oren again, now tucked into their beds. The soft lantern light from outside highlighted the curtains and window frames, casting a gentle golden hue on the cobblestones. Elian made his way toward the bell tower. Thomas Belrow stood quietly nearby, adjusting the bronze bell. "The misty river holds its own magic tonight, soft, quiet, and gentle, just like our valley," whispered Thomas. Elian inclined his head, feeling a deep sense of connection. "Yes, Thomas, every ripple, every glimmer of light, every whisper of wind, it all carries the valley's calm." He lingered a moment, listening to the faint echo of the river, the swaying of willow trees, and the soft hum of distant night sounds. Finally, Elian returned to his cottage. The path was quiet, the mist curling gently over the river and trees. He placed his lantern on the stone table outside, letting its glow mingle with the silver moonlight. The valley seemed to breathe softly in the night, and Elian felt the gentle peace of the misty river fill his chest. He stepped inside, closing the door softly behind him. The calm of the mist, the river, and the valley wrapped around him like a soft cloak. Tonight, as every night, he felt the valley's gentle rhythm seep into his mind and heart. He sank into a chair, letting the quiet of Moonwillow Valley carry him into deep, peaceful sleep, the whispers of the misty river lingering softly in his dreams.
The Silver Glade. Night fell softly over Moonwillow Valley, stretching its calm silver-blue shadows across the cottages and the winding river. The crescent moon hung low in the sky, its pale light glimmering on the willow leaves. Smoke drifted lazily from chimneys, blending with the cool evening air. The valley was peaceful, wrapped in gentle silence, broken only by the soft rustling of leaves and the occasional croak of a frog near the riverbank. Elian Morrow stepped out of his stone cottage once again, a brass lantern in hand. Its warm glow spilled softly onto the cobblestone path. His dark brown cloak swayed gently in the night breeze, and his worn boots crunched softly against the stones. Each evening, this ritual of walking through the valley, lighting lanterns and observing the quiet details of the night, filled him with a gentle sense of purpose and calm. The first part of his walk led him past cottages already settled into sleep. Windows glowed faintly, and faint flickers of candlelight danced across the walls.
Families were tucked inside, and the village seemed to breathe slowly under the lantern-lit paths. Even small creatures of the night moved with care, a hedgehog carefully crossing the path, a fox resting among the long grass, and fireflies drifting lazily above the river. As Elian approached the willow-lined path leading to the silver glade, he noticed the soft shimmer of silver light reflecting off dew-covered grass and delicate ferns. The glade, tucked in a secluded corner of the valley, had always held a quiet magic. Tonight, the silver glow seemed to dance more vividly, mingling with the mist rising from the river and the subtle shimmer of the lantern in his hand. Maeva Willowheart appeared quietly among the ferns, gathering moonflowers and other fragrant herbs. Her auburn braid glinted in the soft silver light, and her moss-green eyes reflected the lantern glow. "Evening, Elian," she whispered. "The glade has never seemed so bright and gentle." Elian smiled softly. "Yes, Maeva, the silver light feels alive tonight, as if it's weaving calm into every corner of the valley." He paused, letting the mist curl around his feet and the lantern light mingle with the gentle silver glow. The reflection of willow branches and dew-covered leaves in the small stream that ran through the glade created a serene tapestry of light and shadow. Rowan sat on a moss-covered stone near the water, his wooden flute resting across his lap. He looked up at Elian and nodded. "The glade whispers tonight," he said, "a song of gentle nights, soft wind, and quiet peace." Rowan lifted the flute to his lips and played a soft, slow melody. The notes drifted across the glade, mingling with the rustle of leaves and the faint trickle of the stream. Elian walked slowly through the silver glade, observing every detail. Fireflies hovered over the water, tiny lights flickering in the mist. Glimmering plants along the riverbank reflected both the lantern and moonlight, creating the illusion of hundreds of miniature stars scattered across the ground. Small nocturnal animals peeked from the underbrush, watching quietly, as if respecting the calm of the night. A little further along, Leela and Orin appeared at the edge of the glade, quietly tea-toeing among the ferns and glowing mushrooms. Leela's dark braid caught the lantern glow, and Orin's wide eyes reflected the soft silver light all around. "Elian," Leela whispered, "look at the water. It's like stars floating." Elian guided the children carefully, making sure every movement preserved the serene rhythm of the night. They paused near a patch of glimmering moonflowers, their delicate petals reflecting the lantern's warm light. The children's soft whispers blended with Rowan's flute, creating a gentle lullaby for the glade. Elian noticed small details he had never seen before: tiny insects with shimmering wings, the subtle curl of mist around a fallen branch, and the way the water reflected the moonlight in soft silver patterns. Each element contributed to the peaceful magic of the glade. After a while, Maeva carefully laid her herb bundles on a mossy patch, humming softly. The children crouched to observe fireflies hovering just above the water. Rowan continued his melody, slow and calm, each note blending with the wind and the river. Elian stood in the center of the glade, letting the gentle light, sound, and scent wrap around him, feeling the valley's heartbeat in every whisper of movement. Eventually, it was time to return. Elian led the children back along the winding path toward the cottages. The river glimmered faintly in the lantern light, mist curling gently, and willow trees swayed with the soft night breeze. Every cottage they passed glowed faintly from lanterns inside, showing families already in peaceful rest. Leela and Orin returned home, and Elian gave a quiet nod to Maeva and Rowan, who lingered a moment longer to finish their work and music. The path back to his cottage was quiet, each stone, tree, and ripple of water illuminated softly by the lantern. Fireflies drifted lazily above the river, and the crescent moon shone silver light over the valley. Elian placed his lantern on the stone table outside his cottage, letting its warm glow mingle with the moonlight. The valley lay calm and serene. Every corner rested under his quiet care, every detail preserved in gentle light. Elian stepped inside, closing the door softly behind him. The glade's magic, the silver reflections, the whispers of the river, and the gentle music of Rowan's flute all seemed to follow him into his small cottage. He sank into a chair and felt the valley's peace fold around him like a soft blanket. Tonight, as every night, he let the calm carry him into deep, restful sleep, the whispers of the silver glade lingering in his dreams. The hidden lantern path. Night draped itself gently over Moonwillow Valley, soft silver light spilling across cottages, willow trees, and the river that wound lazily through the valley. The crescent moon hung low, casting its pale glow over the landscape. A soft mist rose from the river, curling among the willow roots and glowing mushrooms that lined the path. Every evening, the valley seemed alive in a gentle, slow rhythm, carrying soft whispers and quiet magic through the trees and across the water. Elian Morrow stepped from his stone cottage once again, a brass lantern glowing softly in his hand. The worn stones of the path crunched gently beneath his boots, and his dark brown wool cloak swayed with each step. Tonight he would take the hidden lantern path, a secluded trail that wound through the valley's quieter corners, past glimmering streams and under canopies of long willow branches. The evening was cool and filled with comforting scents: earth, dew, smoke from distant chimneys, and the faint fragrance of moonflowers and lavender. Fireflies began their slow dance above the river, tiny golden sparks floating over the soft mist. Elian inhaled deeply, feeling the calm of the valley seep into his chest. Every detail, the gentle rustling of leaves, the faint murmur of the river, the glow of lanterns in distant cottages, combined into a quiet symphony that invited rest. As he approached the entrance to the hidden lantern path, he noticed Mava Willowheart crouched among the ferns near the riverbank. Her auburn braid swung gently over her shoulder, her moss-green eyes reflecting the glow of his lantern. "Evening, Elian," she whispered, tying together a bundle of rare herbs she had collected. "The hidden path seems to carry extra calm tonight, doesn't it?" "Yes," Elian said softly, nodding. "The air is softer here, almost as if it knows to lull the valley into sleep." He adjusted the lantern, letting its glow mingle with the silver mist. Small puddles along the path reflected the light, creating tiny mirrors of the stars above. The subtle flicker of the lantern with the mist made it appear as if hundreds of tiny moons danced along the trail. Rowan appeared further along the path, sitting on a moss-covered stone with his wooden flute across his lap. His sandy hair caught the soft silver glow of the moonlight. "The hidden lantern path has a story tonight," he said quietly, "a story of soft whispers, gentle lights, and quiet peace." He lifted the flute to his lips and played a slow, melodic tune that mingled seamlessly with the rustling of leaves, the gentle ripple of the river, and the soft night breeze. Elian walked slowly along the path, observing the magical details of the evening. Willow branches swayed gently above the trail, their leaves brushing lightly against the mist. Tiny glowing mushrooms dotted the forest floor, and fireflies drifted lazily above the stream. The reflections in the puddles captured both the lantern and moonlight, creating a quiet, dreamlike spectacle that seemed to stretch endlessly along the path. A little further along, Leela and Oren appeared, their small figures tiptoeing carefully along the trail. Leela's dark braid reflected the lantern glow, and Oren's wide eyes were filled with wonder as he watched the fireflies float above the puddles. "Elian, look at the little lights in the water. It's like stars dancing." Elian guided them slowly, making sure the gentle rhythm of the path remained undisturbed. They paused beside a cluster of silver ferns, watching tiny insects with glimmering wings hover in the mist. The children's soft whispers and Rowan's flute created a lullaby for the hidden lantern path. The night seemed alive yet calm, each sound and movement woven together in gentle harmony. Maeva carefully laid her herb bundles beside a mossy patch beside a small stream. The children crouched to observe the glowing mushrooms, their tiny lights flickering in the mist. Rowan continued his slow, soft melody, each note blending with the gentle rustle of leaves, the quiet murmur of water, and the distant hoot of an owl. Elian stood in the center of the path, taking in the full scene, letting the gentle light, soft music, and mist wrap around him like a comforting blanket. As the night deepened, Elian continued his walk along the hidden lantern path. The soft mud path glimmered faintly under his lantern, puddles reflected silver light, and fireflies floated lazily above the stream. Small nocturnal animals, careful not to disturb the quiet, peered from under ferns and willow roots. The path wound gently along the valley, past glowing mushrooms, over small wooden bridges, and beneath swaying willow branches. Eventually, he reached the outskirts of the village. The cottages glowed softly in the distance, smoke drifting from chimneys into the misty night. The river reflected faint moonlight, and fireflies hovered above its calm surface. Leela and Oren returned quietly to their home, tucked into their beds by soft lantern light. Maeva and Rowan lingered briefly, finishing their tasks with gentle care before returning toward the village. Elian made his way back to his own cottage, the path quiet and serene. Every stone, tree, and ripple of water seemed touched by soft magic, a gentle reminder of the valley's calm. He placed his lantern on the stone table outside, letting its glow mingle with the silver moonlight. The hidden lantern path, with its gentle magic, quiet mist, and soft glimmers, had once again guided him and the village into peaceful rest. Inside his cottage, Elian sank into his chair, letting the night's quiet magic wrap around him. The mist, the soft melody of Rowan's flute, the gentle sway of willow branches, and the silver reflections in the puddles lingered in his mind. Tonight, as every night, he let the valley's calm carry him into deep, restful sleep, the whispers of the hidden lantern path weaving gently into his dreams.
The Lantern's Secret. The night stretched quietly over Moonwillow Valley, soft silver light spilling across the cottages, river, and willow trees. The crescent moon hung low, casting a gentle glow that reflected off the river's calm surface. A cool, fragrant breeze carried the scent of dew, herbs, and faint smoke from distant chimneys. Mist curled slowly over the riverbanks, softening the edges of the valley and giving every shape a dreamlike quality. Elian Morrow stepped from his stone cottage, a brass lantern in hand. Its warm light spilled over the cobblestones, glinting softly in the mist. His dark brown wool cloak swayed gently with his movement, and his worn boots crunched softly on the path. Tonight, he would follow the hidden lantern path once more, hoping to find quiet moments of magic along its gentle curve. The path began near the river, winding beneath low-hanging willow branches. Mist swirled around the roots, and fireflies drifted lazily above the water like tiny floating stars. Elian's lantern glimmered in the mist, creating a soft interplay of gold and silver light. He breathed deeply, enjoying the gentle rhythm of the night, the rustle of leaves, the whisper of the river, the quiet call of a distant owl. Maeva Willowheart was already at the riverbank, crouched among the ferns and moonflowers.
Her auburn braid gleamed softly in the lantern light, and her moss-green eyes reflected the silver moonlight. "Evening, Elian," she whispered. "The river seems almost alive tonight." "Yes," he replied gently. "It carries something different this evening, a quiet, waiting magic." He paused to adjust the lantern, letting its glow mingle with the moonlight on the water. Tiny puddles along the path reflected silver light, and fireflies drifted above them, their movements soft and languid. Rowan appeared on a moss-covered stone further along the path, his wooden flute resting across his lap. "The lantern path seems to hide secrets," he said softly, his sandy hair catching the moonlight. He lifted the flute to his lips and played a slow, calming melody that mingled with the rustling leaves and the soft ripple of the river. Elian walked slowly along the path, noticing every detail: the gentle sway of the willow branches, the glimmer of tiny mushrooms along the banks, the soft mist curling in the breeze, and the small ripples in puddles reflecting the lantern light. Everything seemed alive in a gentle, serene way, inviting him to pause and appreciate the quiet beauty of the valley. As he rounded a bend, he noticed Lila and Oren at the edge of the hidden lantern path, their eyes wide with wonder. Lila's dark braid glimmered in the lantern light, and Oren's small hands hovered above the mist as if he could touch the glow. "Elian," Lila whispered, "look at the river. It sparkles." Elian followed their gaze. Ahead, the river widened slightly, forming a shallow pool. The surface shimmered as if thousands of tiny silver stars floated across it. Glimmering flowers along the bank bent gently in the breeze, and the mist rising from the water caught the light of his lantern, creating a soft, magical glow. Maeva approached carefully, her hands full of herbs. "It's rare to see the pool shine like this," she whispered. "The valley keeps this secret only for those who walk softly." Rowan began a gentle melody, the notes blending with the soft shimmer of the water, the rustle of leaves, and the soft croak of a frog. Lila and Oren crouched near the edge of the pool, watching tiny silver fish move slowly beneath the surface, their scales catching the lantern and moonlight in soft flashes. Elian moved closer to the edge of the pool, careful not to disturb the gentle scene. The reflection of the moon, lantern, and stars in the water created a perfect silver tapestry. He noticed small ripples caused by a gentle breeze, the glow of floating fireflies, and the delicate shimmer of the plants bending over the pool. Every element felt connected, alive, yet calm, a secret of the valley preserved for quiet hearts. For a long time they all watched in silence. The soft music of Rowan's flute carried gently across the pool, blending with the subtle sounds of night. Maeva placed her herb bundles on the mossy ground, crouching beside Lila and Oren to observe the glowing fish and fireflies. Elian felt a profound sense of peace, as if the valley itself was embracing them in its quiet magic. After some time, the group began their journey back along the hidden lantern path. Each step was careful, preserving the quiet of the night. Willow branches swayed gently overhead, and the mist curled around their feet. Small nocturnal animals peeked from under ferns, watching with curiosity, but making no sound. The cottages of the village came into view, their windows glowing softly in the distance. Smoke drifted lazily from chimneys, carrying the scent of wood and hearth fires. Lila and Oren returned quietly to their home, guided by Elian's lantern. Maeva and Rowan lingered briefly, finishing their quiet tasks before following him back. Elian's path led him past the familiar river, now calmer, reflecting only the soft glow of the moon and distant lanterns. The soft music of Rowan's flute faded into the gentle whisper of the valley. Every puddle, willow branch, and firefly seemed to carry a fragment of the magic they had discovered. Finally, he reached his own cottage. Placing the lantern on the stone table outside, he let its warm light mingle with the silver moonlight. The hidden lantern path, the shimmering pool, and the quiet secret of the valley had once again revealed its gentle magic, leaving a calm sense of wonder in his heart. Inside, Elian sank into his chair. The soft music, the silver shimmer of the pool, the whispers of the wind, and the gentle sway of willow branches lingered in his mind. Tonight, the valley had shared one of its quiet secrets, a soft, magical moment to be carried into sleep. He closed his eyes, letting the valley's calm fold around him, drifting into deep, restful slumber, with the lantern's secret lighting his dreams.
The Whispering Willows. The night had settled deeply over Moonwillow Valley. Silver moonlight spilled across the cottages, willow trees, and the river, reflecting softly on the calm water. Mist curled gently over the valley, rising from the river and the soft earth, giving the landscape a dreamlike glow. A faint breeze whispered through the trees, carrying with it the scent of dew, herbs, and the smoke of distant hearths. The valley felt alive yet calm, as if it were breathing slowly, preparing its inhabitants for peaceful rest. Elian Morrow stepped from his stone cottage, a brass lantern glowing warmly in his hand. His dark brown wool cloak swayed softly with each step, and his worn boots crunched gently on the cobblestone path. Tonight, he intended to explore a secluded grove he had always called the Whispering Willows. It was a place of ancient trees whose long branches swayed gently in the night, carrying soft whispers on the wind. The path to the grove wound along the river beneath willow trees whose leaves brushed the surface of the water. Mist rose gently, curling over the roots and soft earth. Fireflies floated above the river in slow, lazy patterns, their golden light mingling with the warm glow of Elian's lantern. He inhaled deeply, savoring the calm of the night, the soft rustle of leaves, the distant call of an owl, and the gentle ripple of the river. Maver Willowheart was already at the riverbank, gathering herbs in a small bundle. Her auburn braid glimmered in the silver moonlight, and her moss-green eyes reflected the soft glow of the lantern. "Evening, Elian," she whispered. "The willows are calling tonight, more softly than usual." Elian nodded gently. "Yes, Maeva, there is a quiet magic tonight, something almost as if the trees themselves are breathing." He adjusted the lantern, letting its light mingle with the moonlight reflected in the river and in the small puddles along the path. Each ripple seemed to hold a tiny fragment of the moon, as though the valley had scattered pieces of silver along the earth. Rowan sat on a moss-covered rock further along the path, his wooden flute resting across his lap. "The Whispering Willows are patient listeners," he said softly. "They only reveal their secrets to those who move gently and quietly." He lifted the flute to his lips and played a slow, calming melody. The notes drifted over the river and through the grove, blending seamlessly with the soft rustle of leaves, the gentle breeze, and the faint call of distant creatures. Elian continued along the path, observing every detail. Willow branches swayed gently overhead, brushing lightly against one another in a slow, whispering rhythm.
Glimmering mushrooms and silver ferns lined the edges of the trail, and fireflies floated above the soft mist. The reflections in the puddles mirrored the lantern, moonlight, and stars, creating a dreamlike tapestry of light. A little further, Lila and Orin appeared, their eyes wide with curiosity and delight. Lila's dark braid caught the lantern glow, and Orin's small hands hovered over the mist as if he could touch the floating light. "Elian," Lila whispered, "the leaves, they're whispering. Can you hear them?" Elian knelt beside them. "Yes," he said softly, "they speak in gentle tones, like the valley itself telling stories. Only those who listen quietly can hear their words." Maeva crouched beside a patch of silver ferns, placing her herb bundles carefully on the soft ground. "These willows are ancient," she whispered. "They have seen many moons and held many secrets. Tonight, they share a small part of their magic with us." Rowan's flute notes swirled around the grove, enhancing the gentle whispers of the leaves. Lila and Orin crouched near a small puddle, watching fireflies hover above and seeing silver reflections dance on the water. Tiny nocturnal animals peeked from under ferns and roots, moving cautiously through the mist. Every element, the lantern light, the moonlight, the mist, the reflections, and the gentle music, wove together into a calm, magical symphony. Elian walked further into the grove, letting the whispers guide him. He paused at the edge of a small clearing, where the moonlight shone directly on a pool surrounded by glowing mushrooms. The leaves overhead swayed in gentle arcs, their movement creating soft whispering sounds. The pool reflected the lantern, moon, and stars, scattering silver light across the clearing. Maeva, Rowan, Lila, and Orin gathered quietly beside the pool. They watched as small silver fish swam beneath the water, tiny fireflies floated above, and the mist curled softly along the edges. Rowan's flute continued its slow melody, mingling with the soft whispers of the leaves. The children's soft exclamations blended with the valley's quiet rhythm, creating a gentle lullaby for the grove. Time seemed to stretch, as if the whispering willows themselves had slowed the world. Elian felt the valley's calm wrap around him like a soft blanket. Every detail, the shimmer of the mushrooms, the reflections in the puddles, the sway of the willow branches, and the faint whispers, seemed designed to invite rest. Eventually, it was time to return. The group walked slowly back along the path, careful not to disturb the gentle rhythm of the night. Willow branches brushed softly overhead, fireflies floated above, and the mist curled around their feet. The cottages of Moonwillow glowed softly in the distance, smoke drifting from chimneys, carrying the comforting scent of hearth fires. Lila and Orin returned quietly to their home, guided by Elian's lantern. Maeva and Rowan lingered briefly, finishing their tasks before joining him for the final stretch back to the cottage. The river reflected soft silver light from the moon and lanterns, and every step seemed imbued with the valley's gentle magic. Finally, Elian reached his stone cottage. He placed the lantern on the table outside, letting its warm glow mingle with the soft silver light of the moon. The whispering willows, the shimmering pool, the gentle music, and the quiet magic of the valley had once again shared their calming secret. Inside, Elian sank into his chair, feeling the valley's peace wrap around him. The soft whispers of the willows, the reflections of silver light, and the gentle melody of Rowan's flute lingered in his mind. Tonight, as every night, he let the valley's calm guide him into deep, restful sleep. The serene whispers of the ancient willows carried softly into his dreams. The path of soft footsteps. The last colors of daylight slowly faded from the sky. Pale gold became lavender. Lavender became soft blue. Soft blue melted into deep, peaceful night. Moonwillow Valley welcomed darkness gently. Lanterns glowed in cottage windows. Chimneys breathed thin ribbons of smoke into the air. Mist rose from the river and spread across the ground like a drifting blanket. Nothing hurried. Nothing called loudly. Everything moved in quiet agreement. Elian Morrow stepped out of his small stone cottage, carrying his brass lantern. Its warm amber light glowed steadily. His dark brown cloak rested across his shoulders. The familiar weight of the lantern felt comforting in his hand. He paused for a moment on the stone step. He listened. A distant owl. Leaves brushing together. The quiet crackle of a hearth fire somewhere far away. Elian breathed in slowly. Cool air, damp earth, a faint hint of wildflowers. Tonight, he planned to walk along an old, narrow trail at the eastern edge of Moonwillow Valley. Few villagers used this path, not because it was dangerous, not because it was lost, but because it felt different. Those who walked it often said something strange. They never felt alone there, even when walking by themselves. The villagers called it the path of soft footsteps. Elian stepped onto the winding trail. The stones beneath his boots were small and uneven. Grass grew between them. Moss softened their edges. Each step made only a whisper of sound. The lantern light spilled gently onto the ground. Fireflies floated through the air, glowing like tiny drifting stars. Mist curled around Elian's boots, moving lazily. The path followed the curve of a low hill. On one side, tall grass swayed. On the other, thin trees stood quietly, their branches reaching toward the sky. Elian walked slowly. He did not hurry. The night felt wide and open. His first footstep sounded, soft. Then, a moment later, another soft sound, almost the same. Elian paused. He listened. The second sound had come after his step, not before, not beside, just after, like an echo, but not bouncing, more like a gentle reply. Elian took another step. Footstep. Pause. Footstep. The soft companion sound returned. Elian continued walking. Each step met with a quiet answer. Not loud, not exact, just a gentle companion to his movement. The feeling was not strange, not frightening. It felt friendly, as if the path itself was walking with him. Elian passed beneath thin branches where pale leaves glimmered in moonlight. The lantern light revealed small white flowers growing at the edges of the path. Their petals looked like tiny moons. The air smelled faintly sweet. Elian heard water ahead. A narrow stream crossed the trail. The water moved slowly, barely making a sound. Elian stepped onto a flat stone. Footstep. Pause. Footstep. The soft echo followed. He crossed the stream carefully. Lantern light shimmered on the water. Mist hovered low above the surface. On the far side, Elian noticed a small lantern glow among the trees. Maeva Willowheart. She knelt beside a cluster of pale green plants. Her auburn braid rested over her shoulder. She looked up as Elian approached. "Good evening," she whispered. "Good evening, Maeva." Walking the path of soft footsteps? Yes, Elian nodded. Maeva smiled gently. It is kind tonight. Elian nodded. I feel like the path is keeping me company. Maeva placed a few leaves into her basket. It always does. Sometimes people forget that even quiet places enjoy sharing the journey. They walked together, 2 lanterns, 2 sets of footsteps, and after each step, 2 soft answering sounds. Leela and Oren appeared further ahead. They stood near a crooked tree watching fireflies. Leela's dark braid swung gently as she turned. Oren held a smooth stone in his hand. "Elian," Leela whispered. "Listen." Elian stopped. The children took a small step. Footstep. Then, footstep. Oren giggled softly. "It walks with us." Elian knelt beside them. "Yes, the path listens, then it walks beside you." Maeva smiled gently. "Would you like to walk with us for a while?" The children nodded. They joined the group. 4 people, 4 lanterns, 8 gentle sounds with every step. The path curved between low hills. Tall grass brushed against their legs. Mist thickened slightly. Fireflies drifted higher. The world felt wrapped in softness. Ahead, a familiar figure sat on a fallen tree. Rowan. His patchwork cloak draped loosely. His wooden flute rested across his knees. A small lantern glowed beside him. "Good evening," Rowan whispered. "Good evening," they replied. Rowan stood. "Walking the soft path tonight?" "Yes," Elian said. Rowan nodded. "It is one of my favorites." Rowan began walking with them. Now 5 people, 5 lanterns, 10 gentle footstep sounds. Rowan lifted his flute and played a slow, steady note while walking. The note floated through the air. After a moment, a softer version returned. The path echoed the music. Rowan smiled. It remembers melodies. Elian felt warmth in his chest. Not excitement, not surprise, just steady comfort. They reached a narrow clearing. The path widened slightly. Smooth stones formed a loose circle. They sat, lanterns placed in the center. Mist curled around their legs. Fireflies drifted lazily above. Rowan played a simple tune. 3 notes, slow, even. The path answered. The tune returned, slower, softer. Leela leaned against Maeva. Oren rested his head on Elian's knee. Elian gently placed his cloak over Oren's shoulders. The child sighed contentedly. Maeva closed her eyes. Her breathing slowed. Rowan's flute grew quieter. The valley felt very far away and very close at the same time. After a long, peaceful while, Rowan lowered the flute. Elian stood gently. "We should head back." No one argued. They rose gently. The path welcomed their footsteps again. Soft. Answered. They walked back the way they had come. The stream murmured quietly. Lantern light shimmered on water. Mist parted and closed behind them. At the edge of the children's home, Leela and Oren stopped. "Good night," Leela whispered. "Sweet dreams," Elian said. They slipped inside. Maeva turned toward her cottage. "Good night, friends." "Good night," they replied. Rowan continued walking with Elian a short distance. Then Rowan stopped. "I think I will wander a bit longer." Elian nodded. "Enjoy the path." "You too, Lantern Keeper."
Rowan turned and disappeared into the mist. Elian walked alone, yet not alone. Footstep. Pause. Footstep. The path still answered. His cottage appeared ahead. Warm light glowed in the window. Elian stepped onto the stone porch. He paused. One last step. Footstep. The path answered softly. Elian smiled. "Good night," he whispered. Inside, Elian set his lantern on the table. He removed his boots. He loosened his cloak. He sat for a moment. The memory of soft footsteps lingered, not as sound, but as feeling, companionship, quiet presence, gentle support. Elian lay down, his eyes.
The path of soft footsteps. The last colors of daylight slowly faded from the sky. Pale gold became lavender. Lavender became soft blue. Soft blue melted into deep, peaceful night. Moonwillow Valley welcomed darkness gently. Lanterns glowed in cottage windows. Chimneys breathed thin ribbons of smoke into the air. Mist rose from the river and spread across the ground like a drifting blanket. Nothing hurried. Nothing called loudly. Everything moved in quiet agreement. Elian Morrow stepped out of his small stone cottage, carrying his brass lantern. Its warm amber light glowed steadily. His dark brown cloak rested across his shoulders. The familiar weight of the lantern felt comforting in his hand. He paused for a moment on the stone step. He listened. A distant owl. Leaves brushing together. The quiet crackle of a hearth fire somewhere far away. Elian breathed in slowly. Cool air. Damp earth. A faint hint of wildflowers. Tonight, he planned to walk along an old, narrow trail at the eastern edge of Moonwillow Valley. Few villagers used this path, not because it was dangerous, not because it was lost, but because it felt different. Those who walked it often said something strange. They never felt alone there, even when walking by themselves. The villagers called it the Path of Soft Footsteps. Elian stepped onto the winding trail. The stones beneath his boots were small and uneven. Grass grew between them. Moss softened their edges. Each step made only a whisper of sound. The lantern light spilled gently onto the ground. Fireflies floated through the air, glowing like tiny drifting stars. Mist curled around Elian's boots, moving lazily. The path followed the curve of a low hill. On one side, tall grass swayed. On the other, thin trees stood quietly, their branches reaching toward the sky. Elian walked slowly. He did not hurry. The night felt wide and open. His first footstep sounded, soft. Then, a moment later, another soft sound, almost the same. Elian paused. He listened. The second sound had come after his step, not before, not beside, just after, like an echo, but not bouncing, more like a gentle reply. Elian took another step. Footstep. Pause. Footstep. The soft companion sound returned. Elian continued walking. Each step met with a quiet answer, not loud, not exact, just a gentle companion to his movement. The feeling was not strange, not frightening. It felt friendly, as if the path itself was walking with him. Elian passed beneath thin branches where pale leaves glimmered in moonlight. The lantern light revealed small white flowers growing at the edges of the path. Their petals looked like tiny moons. The air smelled faintly sweet. Elian heard water ahead. A narrow stream crossed the trail. The water moved slowly, barely making a sound. Elian stepped onto a flat stone. Footstep. Pause. Footstep. The soft echo followed. He crossed the stream carefully. Lantern light shimmered on the water. Mist hovered low above the surface. On the far side, Elian noticed a small lantern glow among the trees. Maeva Willowheart. She knelt beside a cluster of pale green plants. Her auburn braid rested over her shoulder. She looked up as Elian approached. "Good evening," she whispered. "Good evening, Maeva." "Walking the path of soft footsteps?" "Yes," Elian nodded. Maeva smiled gently. "It is kind tonight." Elian nodded. "I feel like the path is keeping me company." Maeva placed a few leaves into her basket. "It always does. Sometimes people forget that even quiet places enjoy sharing the journey." They walked together, 2 lanterns, 2 sets of footsteps, and after each step, 2 soft answering sounds. Leela and Oren appeared further ahead. They stood near a crooked tree watching fireflies. Leela's dark braid swung gently as she turned. Oren held a smooth stone in his hand. "Elian," Leela whispered. "Listen." Elian stopped. The children took a small step. Footstep. Then, footstep. Oren giggled softly. "It walks with us." Elian knelt beside them. "Yes, the path listens, then it walks beside you." Maeva smiled gently. "Would you like to walk with us for a while?" The children nodded. They joined the group. 4 people, 4 lanterns, 8 gentle sounds with every step. The path curved between low hills. Tall grass brushed against their legs. Mist thickened slightly. Fireflies drifted higher. The world felt wrapped in softness. Ahead, a familiar figure sat on a fallen tree. Rowan. His patchwork cloak draped loosely. His wooden flute rested across his knees. A small lantern glowed beside him. "Good evening," Rowan whispered. "Good evening," they replied. Rowan stood. "Walking the soft path tonight?" "Yes," Elian said. Rowan nodded. "It is one of my favorites." Rowan began walking with them. Now 5 people, 5 lanterns, 10 gentle footstep sounds. Rowan lifted his flute and played a slow, steady note while walking. The note floated through the air. After a moment, a softer version returned. The path echoed the music. Rowan smiled. It remembers melodies. Elian felt warmth in his chest. Not excitement, not surprise, just steady comfort. They reached a narrow clearing. The path widened slightly. Smooth stones formed a loose circle. They sat, lanterns placed in the center. Mist curled around their legs. Fireflies drifted lazily above. Rowan played a simple tune. 3 notes, slow, even. The path answered. The tune returned, slower, softer. Leela leaned against Maeva. Oren rested his head on Elian's knee. Elian gently placed his cloak over Oren's shoulders. The child sighed contentedly. Maeva closed her eyes. Her breathing slowed. Rowan's flute grew quieter. The valley felt very far away and very close at the same time. After a long, peaceful while, Rowan lowered the flute. Elian stood gently. We should head back." No one argued. They rose gently. The path welcomed their footsteps again. Soft. Answered. They walked back the way they had come. The stream murmured quietly. Lantern light shimmered on water. Mist parted and closed behind them. At the edge of the children's home, Leela and Oren stopped. "Good night," Leela whispered. "Sweet dreams," Elian said. They slipped inside. Maeva turned toward her cottage. "Good night, friends." "Good night," they replied. Rowan continued walking with Elian a short distance. Then Rowan stopped. "I think I will wander a bit longer." Elian nodded. "Enjoy the path." "You too, Lantern Keeper." Rowan turned and disappeared into the mist. Elian walked alone, yet not alone. Footstep. Pause. Footstep. The path still answered. His cottage appeared ahead. Warm light glowed in the window. Elian stepped onto the stone porch. He paused. One last step. Footstep. The path answered softly. Elian smiled. "Good night," he whispered. Inside, Elian set his lantern on the table. He removed his boots. He loosened his cloak. He sat for a moment. The memory of soft footsteps lingered, not as sound, but as feeling. Companionship. Quiet presence. Gentle support. Elian lay down. His eyes.
The quiet bridge of starlight. Night settled slowly over Moonwillow Valley. Not like a curtain falling, not like a door closing, but like a blanket being gently placed. The sky faded from pale blue to soft indigo. Stars appeared one by one. A thin moon floated high and quiet. Lanterns glowed in cottage windows. Mist rose from the river and spread across the meadows. The valley exhaled. Everything softened. Elian Morrow stood at his cottage door, holding his brass lantern. Warm amber light shone through its glass. His dark brown cloak rested over his shoulders. The familiar weight of the lantern steadied him. He breathed in. Cool night air, damp earth, a trace of wildflowers. Tonight, Elian felt drawn toward an old wooden bridge near the northern edge of the valley. Few villagers crossed it anymore, not because it was unsafe, not because it was broken, but because it was very quiet, too quiet for some. Those who had crossed it spoke of starlight gathering there. They called it the Quiet Bridge of Starlight. Elian stepped onto the path. His boots made soft sounds against stone. Fireflies drifted through the air. Mist curled around his ankles. The river flowed beside him, slow and dark, reflecting broken pieces of moonlight. Willow branches brushed the water. Leaves whispered. Elian walked without hurry. The night felt wide, patient. He passed the old oak tree, where moss grew thick along the trunk. He passed the narrow bend where the path curved close to the river. Ahead, he saw a small lantern glow. Maeva Willowheart knelt beside a patch of tiny white flowers.